Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad New Fangled Motion Picture Show.
Welcome, one and all, to another episode of the Everything is Bad Newfangled Motion Picture Show. I'm your host, Niall.
And I'm Nolan.
And today we're going to be reviewing the latest in Hollywood dredging up your nostalgia for money. Of course, talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I'm afraid no ghost.
We will be doing a spoiler-free review of this movie, and then giving you a spoiler warning, and then going more in depth into it after that. So, our normal thing.
Yeah. Standard procedure.
Yep. So, I gotta say, I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm not like a big fan of the original Ghostbusters. I think I've seen it a couple of times all the way through, and it's been since I was a child, since the last time I've watched it.
Whereas I've watched it many times.
Yeah.
And I'm old enough to remember when the cartoon series was on the air. Like the original real Ghostbusters cartoon.
Yeah.
Like one of several reboots or whatever. And so it's something I kind of grew up with, so it's much more nostalgic for me than you.
Yeah. But that being said, I could well appreciate the care this movie paid to acknowledging and honoring the original movie while giving us a new story.
I think it is really helped by the writer and director of this movie is the son of the director of the original movie.
Yeah.
Jason Reitman, son of Ivan Reitman.
Yeah.
I really liked this movie. And I've seen reviews like, oh, it relies too much on nostalgia. I'm like, well, if you're going to make a sequel to a movie that's almost 40 years old, yeah, you're going to have to rely on some nostalgia.
Yep.
I don't think it relied too much on nostalgia.
No, and because
it was its own story.
It was its own story. It was a different story, but it was definitely a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of it was definitely a continuation of the first one. The Ghostbusters 2, it could not exist, and this would still be the same movie.
Yeah.
So when I said I'm a fan of the original one, I'm not really much of a fan of Ghostbusters 2.
I haven't seen it, so
yeah, it's kind of forgettable when compared to the first one. All I really remember is a scene where they walk the Statue of Liberty down Manhattan or something.
Well, yeah.
Anyway.
So it's it's definitely a sequel, and the location it takes place in, and the reason the town exists and all this, it definitely is reference to the original, and because of the events of the original, which is cool. But it's it's not just a retelling of the story. They didn't Force Awakens it, where it's do the same thing but a little different.
No, it's very different.
It's quite a bit different in the story.
I think someone who hasn't seen the original could still enjoy the movie. They do a pretty good job of explaining enough of what happened in the original to get you the background that you need to understand the story.
Right.
For this one.
Yeah, and
so if you're, wondering about oh, could I take my kids? Yes. But my kids haven't seen the original. Well, why not? But also they don't really need to.
Yeah. Also, though, that's not an invitation to take your infant to the movie theater.
Oh yeah,
at our showing. Please don't do that. Infants don't belong in movie theaters. That's a hill I will die on. You can come fight me on that. I don't care what the movie is. If it's some kiddie Disney movie, infants do not belong at the movie theater. Period.
If they're not old enough to remember the movie.
Yeah. What's the point?
Yeah.
But anyway,
there were a lot of little references here and there that if you've seen the first one time, you'll go, oh yeah, that was from from the first movie. But there's a lot of little things where people have seen it a million times and go, ha, that's from that first movie.
Yeah.
Just so it's good for fans and non-fans alike. I think it's a very worthy sequel.
The I think the most important thing to say about the movie though, and like why it's a good Ghostbusters movie, is it's a horror movie that is funny.
Yeah.
And not a comedy with ghosts.
Right.
When I say horror movie, I don't mean like
it's not. Yeah, I mean
it's not a slasher film or anything. But
right. The story is, about ghosts and demons and stuff.
Yeah, but like,
but it's PG-13, right?
Yeah. Yeah. PG-13, is that right? But yeah, PG-13. Yeah, it is this. The story is first and foremost about the ghosts and the demons and whatnot. And then secondly, it's funny. And I think that was the biggest fail. I didn't see it, mind you, because of various and myriad reasons. But from what I understand, that was the biggest failing of that remake they did.
2016?
2016?
Mm-hmm.
Is that movie was a comedy first, and the ghost stuff was second. And that's not what the original Ghostbusters was.
It looked like it looked like a Scooby-Doo movie from the trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, it just looks like Scooby-Doo. It doesn't look like Ghostbusters. Whereas this movie does a great job of replicating the look in a lot of ways. They actually did practical effects for.
Oh yeah.
For a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, and like
some of it obviously was CG, but where they could, they did practical effects. The monsters were puppets and everything.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job of making things look the same. Like the proton beam, like when it hits a ghost, like it looks the same. Like the sparks coming off and stuff. Like it just like they paid careful attention to making it look the same because it makes sense that it would.
Right. Well, it's like, as big a fan as I am of the Alien movies, my problem with these recent ones is the technology looks more advanced.
Yeah.
Than Alien.
Like when you've already established that, the like motion tracker in Aliens is this big honking thing the size of a clothes iron, and then in something that's supposed to be like hundreds of years before that, or 100 years or whatever before that, and you got dudes with GoPros, like on their packs. It just
or the computers in the ship and everything.
Yeah,
like come on, Ridley Scott, you directed both these movies,
right? So, yeah, so I think
there wasn't any sort of like, oh, this is a newer movie, let's change things up and make it
yeah.
more advanced.
Now that we have better visual effects technology, let's do whatever. No, like it looks the same, and as a result, there are some shots that look pretty cheesy. Like if this movie were a standalone thing, you'd be like, ooh, about some of these effects. But because it's in the same universe as that first Ghostbusters movie, you forgive a lot of it, and because it is appropriate for it to look that way.
Yeah. And yeah, so it looks great. I think everyone gave a great performance. Paul Rudd was, of course,
Yeah, Paul Rudd's always good.
really funny in it. He had like some just a lot of like especially when he's flirting with what was the Allie, the kid's mom.
Yeah.
He's like, I think at his funniest. There.
Yeah, and like all the child actors were good. Even the like cheesy Asian kid.
He has like no other roles. Like it was like the only thing he's done, and then he did one of the bits for what was that Princess Bride thing where everyone's like taking little sections and
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did a bit for that.
Hmm.
Um, and that's it. Those are the only two things listed.
Well, I mean, if he
I mean, he
wants,
might have like
if
stage experience or something. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, if he wants, he'll probably have opportunity going forward.
Yeah, I think so.
He was pretty good. Um, and yeah, I mean, just like I don't, there wasn't anything that I could find to complain about on this movie.
No.
I mean, the pacing was good. Like like I said, the comedy to ghost and demon stuff balance was correct. It makes enough reference, and like they reference the original movie directly enough that you're like, hey, it's like from the original, but not so much that it's like, okay, we get it.
Right. Well, like there's a part where they first go into the farmhouse and there's just the stack of books. I'm like, oh, like in the original when they're comment like, oh, it's strange that ghosts would stack books like this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just there in the background. Like everyone kind of looks over at it, but like, because that's a weird thing to see it books stacked to the ceiling. But there's like little references in there. But yeah, but also
And like,
like
so someone gives a who you gonna call,
yeah,
but like not in a reference to the Ghostbusters.
no,
They're like actually just asking who they're planning to call on the
Right.
phone.
and you know, but there's like also a lot of reference to the plot. Like the plot of the first movie directly leads into the plot of this movie.
Yeah, and we can like mention
We'll get in that in
the spoiler part
section, but
So the movies are definitely tied closer together than just,
here's another Ghostbuster story. With
yeah,
some new cast members.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything. I really liked this movie. I recommend it.
Yep, I recommend it. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not really a fan of Ghostbusters. Nothing against it. It's just I didn't grow up with it. It doesn't really mean anything to me.
Yeah. So even as someone who like it doesn't mean anything can enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then also someone who it does mean something to also enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a good job.
The movie's apparently doing pretty well in the theaters. I heard
Yeah,
I heard it made like 40 million domestically
Yeah, I heard it
over
wasn't
the weekend.
Yeah, I heard like the first day or so it wasn't doing great, but I think word of mouth started picking up, and I imagine Thanksgiving weekend it's probably gonna do really well.
Well, yeah, it's competing against Encanto,
Yeah,
and which
doesn't have a lot of hype behind it. Like I don't know, I haven't seen where anyone like really cares.
yeah, and then competing against House of Gucci.
So not the same audience.
Right. So, like those are basically what it's going to be up against.
So I think as far as like when families are like, well, let's go see a movie, it's going to be a toss up between Encanto and this. So like the slightly older group of teenagers and stuff would probably go see Ghostbusters. Because the Thanksgiving weekend is a big movie going weekend.
Yeah, because it's something.
Tired of being with your family.
Yeah, it's something it's something you can take when all the family's in town. It's something you can take all the kids. The uncle can take all the kids to the movie theater while the parents like cook stuff and whatever. So yeah, but yeah, I don't think we really have anything else to add that's not spoilery.
Let's throw up a spoiler warning then.
Yeah. So yeah, this town that this takes place in is a mining town that was established to mine all of the metal that they made the girders out of for the cult.
The tower in the first movie where they where the Gozer cult built the building, and I don't remember what the metal's called.
Strontium.
Is that right?
No.
Okay. But so it starts off. I was concerned. I went over to you. I was like, do you think they're gonna deep fake Harold Ramis in this? And you said, I hope not. And so, because early in the movie we see someone who is obviously Egon, but you never see his face. It's like you see his feet, you see him from behind or whatever. and then he's killed. And so he's obviously haunting this house, though.
Yep.
And so, like, all right, so are we going to see the ghost? And you do, but it works because he's CG and he's a ghost. They kind of get away with it better than they might have otherwise.
Better than Peter Cushing.
Yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job with Peter Cushing. It's not perfect, and the technology isn't there, but I mean, it wasn't.
They did a better job with Peter Cushing than they did with Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, and that was in the same movie. And then what about when they I think it works better when you take the actor and de-age them. Except for in Tron, but that was like the first time I've really seen that. That looked weird.
He
gets away with it by being a program. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could forgive it in Tron because it's in the computer.
Yeah. But what? Oh, and Ant-Man. I remember them doing a pretty good job, but I wonder if I go back and watch that if they did as good a job as I remember by de-aging Michael Douglas.
Man, he's so old now.
Yeah.
Like that must have taken a lot of work.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, so but I'm sure they must have worked off of like photos of him before he died, so they probably didn't have to like do anything with aging him. But yeah, you have a CG ghost Harold Ramis. So they kind of get away with it for being a ghost because he's transparent and all that. Anyway, and he never speaks. They never try to like recreate his voice or anything.
Oh, I kept waiting. I'm like, don't do it.
I was wondering if they were gonna do that, and they never do. So, but you have appearances from basically the entire cast except for Rick Moranis, right? You have
Well, yeah, I mean, like they got Sigourney Weaver in there, but it's like a mid-credit thing or post-credit thing, right?
Mid-credit, right?
Mid-credit.
The post-credit was the.
Oh yeah, the post-credit was the interview with Ernie Hudson.
Yeah.
Or not with it. That makes it sound like he's being interviewed, like the actor's being interviewed for something. But
Winston,
yeah.
Yeah. But he's in there, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray.
I do have to point out. So the scene with Sigourney Weaver, she's there with Bill Murray in that scene, right? And Sigourney Weaver looks so much younger than Bill Murray in that scene. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, she's actually a year older than Bill Murray.
Right. But you look at them, and Bill Murray looks so much older than Sigourney Weaver now that the thought of those two, like seeing them on the screen, the thought of them being married is weird.
Yeah, because she's credited as Dana Barrett Vinkman, so they're married. Their characters are married.
Yeah, and so it was weird because you saw her name in the credits, you're like, Sigourney Weaver, where was she? And I was like, maybe she hasn't been in it yet. And then shows the scene, and I was just like, holy crap, she aged better than Bill Murray.
Yeah. And then one thing I kind of surprised me is I was expecting Janine to have been Egon's wife.
Oh yeah,
because they kind of had a thing going. But she shows up. She was like the executor of his estate or something, just because she's better with money than him and she's friends with him and he's just hopeless.
Yeah, like she was basically because of their friendship, sort of taking care of the stuff that he just couldn't be bothered with.
Yeah, well, you think about it, he's clearly
an eccentric genius.
Yeah, well, the term they use, divergent, neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, I mean, you could see like as his character was in the other movies, he just can't. I could see where he wouldn't be able to handle, anything outside of academia. He'd have a hard time coping.
Yeah.
But I don't know what else to say. Oh yeah, so Yeah, we're back dealing with the Gozer cult. They use this built this town just to mine the stuff for the tower, but now Gozer's going to be resurrected in the mine.
Yeah, so like, well, it so turns out that there was like un so like because like they didn't like wipe out the cult or what or something, right? And so
Yeah, so Gozer, there's something where like something's gonna happen where Gozer can breach into our reality periodically every so often, and so 1984 was the last time, but 2021 is the current time, and there was like this list of dates, and like so it's like 2030 something or something is gonna be the
yeah,
next time.
yeah, something like that. Um, but yeah, there's basically this like hell portal pit in this mountain, and like the at one point the main like the girl Phoebe is our main character in this.
Yeah, she's
She
Egon's granddaughter.
Yeah, so she calls Dan Aykroyd Ray at one point, and he explains how, yeah, when Egon went crazy and like started rambling about the end of days, and one day he disappeared and took all of our proton packs and all this, and like he's clearly they all are kind of upset about that he would do this to them. But yeah, it turns out that no, he did that because he found out about this, and so
no one would believe him though.
And no one would believe him, so he just went and took care of it himself. He had this apparatus set up to shoot the proton beams down into this pit whenever this like broiling like massive demon souls would like try to rise up out of this pit. It would just shoot this combined proton beam down the hole to keep them at bay. So we find out that maybe he wasn't as crazy as everyone thought.
Right, and and it's like every time this happens, it causes like a little earthquake. It's like the whole town has like been happening so long, the whole town's just kind of used to it.
Yeah, but that's why Paul Rudd's character is in the town.
He's a seismologist trying to investigate why this is happening because it shouldn't be happening. There's no fault lines anywhere, and there is a mountain.
Well, the wave isn't the correct form.
The waveform for an earthquake, or even a volcanic eruption. He says it's more the waveform for an explosion.
Right. So, but I thought that was cool how like they explain like why he's there, and then you find out later what that's like what is causing that and stuff.
Even the pseudoscience makes more sense than a lot of movies.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. So, but yeah, and then J.K. Simmons is the cult leader, and he's like in a glass case.
Ivo Shandor.
He's in a glass case, like he's crap, I can't just drawing a blank on the name. Oh, the Bolshevik.
Oh, Lenin.
Vladimir Lenin.
Yeah.
Like he's like in this glass case, like Vladimir Lenin. Except that
kind of looks like
right,
the makeup and
like the mustache he has and stuff. Yeah. Except that he's alive in the case. Somehow they don't explain how he's alive in there.
Ancient Sumerian magic. I don't know.
Yeah, but he's he's
well, his whole plan was to summon Gozer, and then Gozer would grant him power, and then of course Gozer just tears his head off.
Right. Well, that's how it always works in those death god worshipping cults.
Yeah. What happens to all the Cthulhu cultists? They always get eaten.
Right. But yeah. Anyway, you got anything else to add to that? Or?
No, not really. It's just, I had a good time with this movie, and I liked that they brought in so much of the original cast for, even if they were small roles, but the three remaining Ghostbusters actually had a small but significant role.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, and they were great. Bill Murray is always funny.
Yeah, Bill Murray and his classic dry Bill Murray humor.
Yeah.
No dickless joke though.
No dickless.
Let's see. So, what do we got coming up here? Next movie, we're definitely seeing House of Gucci. We might be seeing Encanto. Don't know for sure yet.
Yeah, I mean, our mom's been non-committal about it, but if she wants to go, I'll take her to see it.
Yeah. Licorice Pizza's finally coming out. Not that I give a shit about that movie, but I'm tired of seeing the trailer.
Yeah, I'm really. Yeah.
Which is sad because I like Bradley Cooper, but he doesn't.
Maybe if I knew what the movie was about.
Let's see. So then December we finally get The Kingsman and Spider-Man No Way Home and The Matrix Resurrections. Not in that order, mind you, but that's all next month. That's all exciting to us. Gonna be a busy couple of weeks there, but not till the 17th. So after this weekend, there's nothing until the 17th, Nolan.
Yeah.
That's not cool. I guess it gives us time to do like family stuff for December. Ugh. And I'm actually kind of excited for Morbius.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad.
For like one thing, I think people bag on Jared Leto too much.
I think he's a good actor. He's just a weirdo.
He is just a weirdo. But like, I think it's neat that we've gotten to the point in the MCU where they're like, they feel confident enough to give a chance to like these other
lesser known.
Yeah, like
we're getting a Moon Knight movie for God's sake.
Well, no, it's a Moon Knight show, right?
I thought it was a movie.
Could have sworn it was a show. Could have sworn it was a Disney Plus show. Jackass Forever comes out in February. We'll probably see it, but I doubt we'll review that because it's Jackass. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that something we'll review? Do you think?
No, I mean
probably not, right?
It's just Jackass stuff.
But we got Death on the Nile and Uncharted in February. And Rumble, do you think that's actually going to release?
Oh, that's an animated movie. It's
with the giant kaiju wrestling
for years though.
Oh yeah,
it's
man.
It's not just COVID pushback.
No, that was delayed before COVID hit. It's like we'll see the trailer for a couple of weeks and then it'll go away because they'll get it delayed again. And then several months later we'll start seeing the trailers for a couple of weeks again. And then it's so weird. I wonder what the problem is with that.
I don't
know.
Was it originally close to Sing 2 and they're like, "Oh, let's not do that."
Oh, Sing 2's finally coming out, which I'm excited that that's coming out, not because I give a shit about the movie, but I'm really tired of seeing the trailer.
Oh man, when we saw Ghostbusters, the guy sitting next to me commented on that, how he's just so tired of the trailer.
Yeah. That's Christmas Eve. That's the release date for Sing 2, so we'll have to suffer through a couple more movies because it doesn't seem to matter what kind of movie. They seem to be putting that trailer in front of everything. We'll probably see that trailer in front of House of Gucci.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that trailer in front of every movie I've gone to see for the past several months.
Yeah. Well, longer than that, like a year.
Well, yeah, but there was like a break at some point when it got delayed or something.
I don't think so. It was a different trailer, is all. But yes, that's what we got coming up. If any of that sounds of interest to you, come back, check that out. Hit that subscribe button, and there's a bell or something, right?
Yeah.
I never use it on anyone's YouTube channel. I've never clicked the bell, but maybe you could.
Sure.
And be notified when our other stuff goes up. Also, go check out our other reviews. What was the last one, Nolan? You edit these.
I know. Been a bit though.
As soon as we record for them, I dump that out of my mind. Eternals?
Eternals.
Okay, yeah. As soon as we record for it, I dump that shit out of my head, man. I do not forget. I do not remember. I do forget.
Yeah.
That's the one. But anyway, yeah, go check that out. Go check out previous reviews. We've been doing this since Alien Covenant.
They're 171st.
Yeah, boy. So next year we'll hit episode 200. I wonder what it'll be. Wasn't episode 100 a letdown?
No, it was gonna be Toy Story 4, and you didn't want it to be Toy Story 4. Episode 100 was Shaft.
That really tells what my opinion of Toy Story 4 was, I guess.
Well, I think we gave it a good review because it was a good movie. I think you just were like, why another Toy Story?
Yeah.
Was
probably it.
Going into it. It's like, why do we need another Toy Story?
Yeah. Oh man, I wonder what episode 200 is going to be. I guess we'll have to find out. Who knows? Things are getting delayed so much right now. Randomly all over the place. So anyway, yeah, go check out our future and past archive of reviews, and until next time.
Watch the Starship Troopers Traitor of Mars one.
That's our most viewed movie review.
Our most viewed review.
Yeah. It's because it's one of like 2 or 3 reviews of that movie on YouTube. So anyway, until next time, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Toodles.